Welcome to NBL Overtime. What an eventful week it was. We had fights, upset wins, comebacks, everything you'd want to have a round of NBL, we got it. What's your favourite part of the week? Doesn't even have to be basketball related, just in general.
Pete?
Oh, geez, you put me on the spot. Doesn't have to be basketball related
No, it can be
either.
anything. You've got a small child, two of them now.
Two of them. Yeah, it's always going to be around family. Seeing the interaction between my two little girls.
Boring.
Well, I mean, that's what you set it up for. If you go open up absolutely anything. So, yeah. What about you, man? You still fencing?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
That's not
this
fencing
week.
as in
No,
sport
yes.
fencing.
Yeah,
No,
let's be
I've
clear.
been getting caught up on some college basketball.
Yeah.
I'm gearing myself up for March Madness. Can't wait.
Nice. Do you want to talk NBL?
Yeah, we still
Let's
have
go.
it.
Let's jump
Let's
into it,
go.
won't
Let's
we?
go back to that.
It's the Adelaide 36ers. Now, the term always comes up, panic stations, but they still sit top of the table right now. We're going to break down their big monster, the Phoenix, shortly. But right now, everyone else is saying that it's game over for them. They're still sitting top of the table.
Yes, I mean, we always like a little bit of drama, right? But Adelaide 36ers, even though they are not playing good basketball right now, they did enough of the heavy lifting early in the season to set themselves up to be in a good spot. So, yep, they're 21-8, sitting on top of the ladder. I don't think they're going to finish the season on top of the ladder. I think somebody's going to catch them. But they got some things they need to work out right now. But there's no need to panic. But they need a full, healthy roster to try to win this whole thing.
What I'm fascinated with, we didn't see it on that, was the percentages, right? Because we always know the NBL is going to come. Percentage at some stage is going to be the difference between a team maybe a single elimination game, the playing, or avoiding it
We saw that with
altogether.
Melbourne United a couple of seasons ago. It was 1 point.
It was 2 points over the course of an entire season. So that was 28, 29 games, where if they had had a single layup, they would have been playing finals basketball. And it came down to that DJ Vasiljevic shot, a game they weren't even part of over in Perth that rimmed out. So I think the key right now is to watch. There's a percentage battle going on for second and third, potentially between the Phoenix and the Kings, and then Perth and Melbourne very close. And maybe the 6th and 7th spot, albeit I think Tasmania might have just done enough to hold on to it, but it's all to play for.
We're going to jump that one as well a little bit later because that was huge. Those double-win games, that one for Tassie. But the Adelaide 36ers, as we mentioned, a lot of people saying panic stations. You didn't jump in panic stations with Melbourne United when they went on a stretch.
You're not
doing it with Adelaide.
No, I don't bring panic to the floor or I don't bring it to the show. That is panic is not a part of my DNA. Okay, so Adelaide goes to Brisbane for training session, got into a little bit of a scuffle, whatever.
Did they?
Yeah, a little bit of a
Must
scuffle.
have missed that.
Not that big of a deal. But the biggest thing is that Adelaide 36ers they're now officially too small. And you know what? They're actually not too small. Mike Wells just elects to play a lot of small ball. That is the issue. So when Southeast Melbourne Phoenix came to town, it was an almighty beatdown. Now, I must say, Isaac Humphries, he had some knee complaints, so he didn't play a whole lot late in the game. And when he was out there, he wasn't overly effective. So that leaves Zylan Cheatham, Pete, out there with pick a guard, any guard, and that's what they're running with.
Again, no Nikola Kosovic because he was suspended in this game, but still, I mean, John Browning's a menace on the offensive glass. 21 offensive rebounds at halftime, and they've just got multiple guys who are going to crash the glass. We talk about panic stage. I'm not panicking yet if I'm the Adelaide 36ers. They've got two big games this round. They've got an Illawarra Hawks team. We'll talk about maybe some injury things to watch. Who are a desperate Illawarra team who the season is completely on the line for. And then they play Melbourne United. If they somehow lose both of those, we might be sitting here next Monday having a very different conversation. But you talk about them being too small, Damon. Their defensive identity has gone out the window. Now, I've had concerns about Adelaide over the last few weeks because their last 6 games have been very interesting to look at. Yes, you talked about they beat a Brisbane Bullets team. A lot of people could beat a Brisbane Bullets team right now because they are decimated by injuries. But here is their last 6. So let's go from bottom. They lost to Tasmania. Tasmania were healthy at the time, so that was a tough loss. We thought Tasmania were going to be great. Then they lost to the Phoenix by 19. They defeated New Zealand by 2. In overtime, they should have lost that.
Yep.
But again, they should have closed it out in regulation. They played good enough to do that, but potentially could have lost that. They lost to the Kings by 5, albeit that last 3 minutes they were much better. The Phoenix, and again, I'm not reading into that Brisbane game at all. Like, they did what they had to do. It didn't look great at times, but they had to go and beat them, and they did that to book their place in the Ignite Cup final. No defensive identity. Their rotations are all over the place. I'm not sure where their offense, I think they've become very easy to scout right now. And it is the time to fix it is now because we're getting very close. We've seen the Kings are peaking, the Phoenix are peaking. You just don't want those teams to get ahead of steam.
There's been a lot of sort of circling crisis meeting talks and stuff like that. The rumour mill's been going off around Mike Wells. Let's listen to how he wrapped up the game before we touch on that.
You know, I thought our guys you know, we tried to do a lot of really good things. I thought they really played hard. We were trying out there. Unfortunately, you know, offensive rebounds in the first half, right? I thought we did some good things on the rotations, and, you know, there was a couple of times we fouled shooters or whatever, but, you know, you're going to have that once in a while against them because they take so many threes and you're trying to get there to contest. But, you know, 21 offensive rebounds in a half is probably not going to be the greatest thing for your team, right? And that took its toll on us.
Just sounds dejected.
He looks tired.
He looks tired. He looks worn out at the moment, which is, you know, it's a long season. But
yeah, and in that press conference, he also went on to say he didn't want to make excuses, but their travel schedule has been tough in terms of trying to get Jenkins on the right page with the rest of the team and not getting as much time on the practice floor. But having it now, and we said this last week, this is the perfect time to figure it out because in the end, their talent is there. There's a reason they're top, right? They've still got exceptional talent led by Bryce Cotton. Isaac Humphries, hopefully his knee's okay. That's a little bit of a concern, but there's talent all over the board. They've just got to find those answers quick. And if they can go and beat the Hawks, they can go beat Melbourne United and look good doing it, then all of a sudden we'll feel much better about where they are. But as of right now, hearing that from Mike and everything we've seen, of course you're allowed to be concerned because this is a team that was flying at one stage.
But even if they beat the Hawks and beat Melbourne United, they're not the top 3 teams.
That's one more of like if they look good doing it the
right
right
now
way.
they just need to get wins on the board.
I'm with you.
Yeah, you got to beat Perth, you got to beat the Phoenix, and you got to beat Sydney. If you're not beating those 3, then you ain't serious about winning the championship.
And we're saying it all along. This is their best chance to win a championship in so long. But we get to the point now where it's like, okay, in a 3-game series, let's do that. Do you think they could beat anyone outside of who could they beat? Take out the 6 box. I think we can all assume 6 spot might not do any damage. But is there any teams you give confidence against?
Maybe Melbourne United.
And that's it.
Maybe Melbourne. That's it.
Because Perth, I think, would give them some trouble, and the Kings, and the Phoenix.
Every team is too. The top 3 teams are too big for them.
Yeah, so that's something they've got to figure out in this time right now. It's a good problem to have if they can get out the other end of it. As we said, the talent is still there.
Mike Wells has come under a lot of criticism, especially over the last 6 or so weeks. Adelaide fans online, various different sources. But have you heard anything about, you know, crisis meetings and stuff like that at Adelaide going on? Because, you know, you never know how much to read into this stuff, but it seems like it's not just on court.
I've heard there's been meetings going on last week, and they lost by 20 to another contender, right? And those meetings are probably like, hey, what are we doing? Like, where are we falling short right now? They would be going back and saying it's not just us losing by 20 to the Phoenix. The last 6 games, we've lost to the Phoenix twice by 20. We've lost to the Sydney Kings. I know it says by 5, but they got handled for the most part of that game. They limped across the line against New Zealand, and they beat the Brisbane Bullets. Well, I'm giving an anomaly. So what's happened to our identity in the last 6 games, and how do we get back to it? That's a normal part of realising, hey, we have been top for a long time. So where are we falling short? And let's turn this thing around. You don't just sit there and say, hey, it'll come this week. You've got to identify the problem.
I'm going with the believe half of what you hear stuff. So these so-called meetings, what kind of meetings? Are they player-only meetings? Are they coach-player meetings?
I feel like they're all. You've got to have these when you're...
I'm just saying, but like whatever those reports are, I don't feel like it's a crisis-type meeting other than a team is losing. Maybe and we don't even know. But should they meet? Yes.
Yeah.
They need to meet. Who's going to D up? Who's going to play D? Who's going to rebound? Who's going to do all those things that's costing them games right now? Because the rest of the league have obviously gotten better, and they have somehow gotten...
How much does this fall on the shoulders of Mike Wells?
Well, he's going to be the one. I mean, coaches are always scapegoats. That's why I find it really hard to ever think about being a coach. You go and win a championship, everyone's like, geez, they had a good team, right? They were led by Bryce Cotton. You fall short in whatever aspect, it's like they had a bad coach.
Because Bryce hasn't copped any heat over
well, no
this at all.
players really are going to cop it. It's always going to be coming down on the shoulders of the coach. But the coaches are in charge. All coaches are in charge of the rotations. They're in charge of the offense. So all of that gets magnified when you're losing. And again, right now we're starting to see certain things. I say they're a bit easier to scout now than they used to be. They've been running the same stuff. The rotations are all over the shop because they bring in a new player, a high-quality player, trying to get all that sorted. And the defensive identity isn't there. So, yes, that's part on the players. It's everybody involved. It's not just one, hey, let's fix rotations, we'll win basketball games. There's more to it than that.
It's all on Mike, and it's because of the rotations. Now, it's not up to the players, the rotations, Pete. It ain't our fault. The players are not sitting over there going, I'm going to sell myself in, and let's go small. I thought it was dangerous when they came from behind and beat Perth with the 4-guard death lineup. Mike must have thought, okay, this is my best group. It ain't. It was in that particular instance, but it's not sustainable as we've been watching. To get smashed on the boards, I'm watching like if Matt Kenyon is on the floor with Zion Cheatham, who's going to score? Like, the pick and roll is different now. If Bryce gets trapped, it's way different now than if it was Ice on the floor or Nick Rakocevic. Which one of those 4 guards are going to guard the 4-man? Who's going to box out John Brown? You know what I mean? So, Mike, it's up to him to work out the subs. The players can't do it, so we'll see what happens moving forward.
And we said that calling that game against Brisbane in the first half. Like, this 5 and 4, whatever they're rolling with, is small. It wasn't working. And, yes, they went and beat the Brisbane Bullets, but we keep harping on about it. That's nothing to be proud of right now because Brisbane have 4 players available that are healthy.
We have a tendency to be doom and gloom. When something's going bad, we zone it out and we talk about it. Let's give some love to the Phoenix, and in particular, someone who you have been, I would say in NBL media, you were the highest on John Brown.
At the start?
Pre-season at the start, you were saying this guy is going to be a game changer, and he's been just that. Is there a chance that he makes All-NBL first team and Defensive Player of the Year? Because for me, that seems to be a no-brainer. Now, how often does the D-boy actually make All-NBL first team?
And I'm glad that you brought that up, Felix, because he's a menace on the offensive rebounds. It doesn't matter where you are. His energy and intent outweighs anybody else in the league. He is just a super competitor. We can all sit here and agree the only award that is fully engraved right now is John Brown III for Defensive Player of the Year. So he's going to win that, hands down. Josh King said that with Bull Cole getting injured, Will Magnay. So he's going to get that well-deserved. But the All-NBL first team is a fascinating discussion. So we've got our 3 locks. We've got the 3 MVP favourites in Bryce Cotton, Kendrick Davis, Nathan Sobey. I would actually put Christian Doolittle as a lock. I think Christian Doolittle is going to be that 4th player who's cemented himself in there. And then you've got to have a serious discussion because you've got PJC, you've got Jack McVeigh, you've got JaVale McGee, and then you've got John Brown III as well as some other players. And I would argue that John Brown III needs a bit of love here because we forget, as much as everyone loves to see putting the ball in the hole, 50% of the game is played on the other end. And he is by far and away the best at that.
We've seen some good defensive players in the league. John Brown III looks like he actually enjoys it.
Yeah.
Some players are just good at it because they're just good. John is like in a defensive stance, like, oh, yeah, let's go. I bet you can't score on me. He plays defense with an enthusiasm. Like, I don't see normal players playing with. Now, a team like the Phoenix, who set up to shoot chaotic threes, off-balance threes, transition threes, just a bunch of threes. You need one guy who'll go, go ahead, fellas. I'll set all the picks, and I'll chase every single rebound. You guys will probably never pass me the ball. And then when he does get the ball, he got a nice mid-range JP. He can kiss him off the glass from 15 feet. He's got an all-around game, but he's so suited to that particular team. If you put him in a different team, it's a little bit different probably, but he is perfect for them.
If you take John Brown out of Southeast Melbourne, does that because you know where I always take this argument. If we're talking MVP, it has always turned into a scorer's award. It's an Offensive Player of the Year award. You take John Brown III out of the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, I think it's more impactful to them than it would be taking someone as good as Kendrick Davis, as good as Bryce Cotton, out of their teams. I don't think Southeast Melbourne can win without John Brown. I think they can notch up wins without those guys.
Fascinating for everyone. We have not talked about this prior leading into it, which is, I'm glad, again, that you brought this up. Only reason I couldn't see John Brown making the All-NBL first team is I think we have so many great individual seasons. To have 2 from one team when there's not a standout best team in the league is a little unlikely. So that's why I can make the case for him not being there. But I could also make the case that as great as Nathan Sobey's season has been, if you had to put a Phoenix player in there and it was John Brown instead of Sobey, I don't think I would be upset about it for that reason in particular of he is so important. I think they changed their identity without him. Having said that, I think Sobey well and truly deserves that. But if it was flipped, I wouldn't be all up in arms because he's just that important.
We saw the Hawks last year put their starting backcourt on our first team, Tyler Harvey
but they
and
were
Trey Kell
by
III.
far and away the best team in the competition, whereas this, I think we've got multiple teams who are very, very good.
Let's jump over Tassie and New Zealand. Now, we've said during the year that this identity of, defend the island, that tough grit that Tassie have become so well known for, where'd it go? Well, they found it in arguably the most important game of the season because the double points on the line to make that 6th spot, and they got it done.
Full credit to Tasmania JackJumpers, and I felt out of the teams battling for that 6th spot, I felt the most disciplined team will come out with that 6th spot. And right now, Tassie JackJumpers are more disciplined than New Zealand Breakers. They don't shoot themselves in the foot. They're more disciplined than the Illawarra Hawks. And even with the players being out, David Johnson out of the University of Louisville obviously stepped up major in the absence of Bryce Hamilton and Will Magnay. But they've been playing like this all year. You can trust the JackJumpers to compete and not shoot themselves in the foot. And that game could have easily went either way, but it just came out in their favor that particular night.
Didn't like that last play from New Zealand. We'll talk about it, but look at the emotion from Scott Roth. Ben Ayre now announced he's done for the year. The injuries continue to mount up for key rotational players. Not only that, they landed from Cairns at 8 o'clock the night before and had to play a 2:30 game with their season on the line against a team that's right over their shoulder, and they went and held on, down extra bodies than they were from an overtime game previously. That was gutsy. And I feel like if they go to hold on to 6th spot, which I think we assume that they might be able to do that, they still have Majuk Deng. They still have Josh Bannon, who's been fantastic this season. They have Nick Marshall, Tiger Campbell, and David Johnson, man. He is a stud.
And I'll admit that I'm getting nervous because I am publicly Tasmania's biggest hater. Me and the state do not get along publicly. And I don't want to write them off. I don't want to write them off. You said before that 6th place probably won't do any damage. Man, Scott Roth's going crazy. The island's loving it. I think they could be a genuine upset chance.
And again, if that's Melbourne who finished 5th and they go on the road, the history between Melbourne and Tassie, you don't think that would be in Melbourne's minds of, hey, we haven't played our best basketball. Tassie are like, we shouldn't even be here. We've got that many injuries. And the way that they could play with confidence, you are spot on. I completely take back what I said. If we weren't live, we'd re-record it all. You're right. They could do something special, but it's just the way they're built, man.
In a one-off game, yes.
Yeah.
In a series, In a series, no. But in a play-in, absolutely, they can get you. Now, is David Johnson going to go off for 33 every single night? You know, he's capable, but against some of the better teams, probably unlikely. And without Ben Ayre in there, too, their depth is so questionable. New Zealand Breakers were the perfect team for them to play. New Zealand's missing Sam Meninga. They missing Rob Baker II. They just as banged up as well. And they have a propensity, Pete, of losing those close games. So that was kind of the perfect storm in a way.
And again, you're right, though, for just one 40-minute game that is do or die, they'd play everybody they can 38, 39 minutes, and they'd probably go and shock the world. Then they go to a semi-final series, and they'd really struggle. But again, incredible. It's an inspiring performance from them. And the New Zealand Breakers on the other end, that was their chance.
If I'm Tassie's biggest hater, Scott Roth is their biggest lover. Because look how emotional he gets in these press conferences.
Well, you know what? Our motto is to defend the island, and you know, for me, you know, I'm obviously quite passionate about Tasmania, and the statement by the players to continually show up is just a credit again to, I've said this before, about the guys that we get here. And the unselfishness and the warrior mentality and the grit and grind is real. And we're humble and hungry, and we want to defend this place and make Tasmanians proud. And so, like I said, if we would have lost that game, I would have been just as emotional with them of the fight that they continue to show up with.
We've said it time and time again, but talk about just hitting the jackpot when it comes to finding a coach for that market in Tasmania. Loves the state. They love him. He gets up and about. And when he's running high, and this sort of emotional Scott Roth that we've seen before, I think it flows over into the team. They are at their best when he's in that mindset.
I don't disagree with that. Now, emotional, yep, and sometimes it comes out, but I don't know which is which. Like, it's hard. I mean, I see the press conferences where he's almost crying, not quite crying. Then I see the press conference where he's like this: I can't coach. I don't care who wins the game. I don't even scout other teams. And then I see him beating his chest when they get a win. I don't know which one of them Scott Roth is the authentic one. I can't tell, but I tell you what, though, he's a champion of Tasmania. He's a champion of that state. And if I'm a local, if I'm sitting in that crowd and I see that, I'm going, that's my guy.
Yeah. And you talk about that win. I mentioned they landed just the night before, 2:30 game, down extra bodies. You just think about what that locker room would have been like before running out. And Scott Roth would have turned to them and said, only us in here and the fans give us a chance. And he would have said something like that of, our backs are against the wall here. No one else thinks we can do this. And they just rose up to the challenge time and time again. And it's special. The Tassie way is special. They've proven that, the incredible run to get to a championship series the first year, to win a championship series after 3 years, and they're not quite out of it yet.
It's going to be weird if, you want Scott Roth to stay there for 20 years and just continue to coach all the way through. It'd be so weird having someone else coach this Tasmania team, especially considering he's done it since inception.
And whenever that time is up, you talk about the next person that comes in is going to be a fascinating decision, right? Because you just don't go out and say he's a great coach. Because the one thing that Scott Roth's done is gone out and said, I want to be part of Tasmania. So you need someone who also feels the same.
Does that put a line through New Zealand season now?
Well, mathematically, it's a line in pencil. It's a line, but it's in pencil. But it's kind of a dark pencil. which is a shame because I just felt like, you know, I'm a Petrie Carpenter fan.
Oh, I know that. You're the voice of New Zealand basketball.
Hey, at the awards night at the Gazeys, me and Petrie, me and you, my man, we're going to be having a couple of beverages and we talking finish. So I just hate to see that kind of how he kind of goes out because his team, is a lot of those wounds is self-inflicted, man. You talk about what can a coach do? I'm putting a lot of this on the players. Some of the mistakes they make down the stretch, 10 games they have lost in single digits. That is a consistent theme for mine, and the coach can't always fix that kind of stuff.
And they can still make it. Again, there's some big games. What a massive round. But I will ask you this then. We can all agree they're probably not going to go and win a championship this year. Should they turn their attention strictly on the Ignite Cup final? And say, hey, let's just make sure we cannot afford another injury. Kareem Lopez, we'll talk about him later, has been balling. PJC, let's make sure we get some extra guys through, some reps right now. We're not going to try and chase that sixth spot as much as, hey, when that Ignite Cup final comes, we want that. We want to win the $300,000. So let's put all our eggs in that basket.
That's not the Finnish way. That's not what we do in Finland.
You were nodding before when I said it. You were like, yes.
No, my neck was itching. No, my neck was itching. No.
Name one.
I share your passion
Lori
for
marketing.
No, I said speak Finnish one sentence.
No, he's going to teach me when we get there. Hey, look, no, as long as there's a chance, no, you got to play it every game out. We're not taking no games off just to get to the Ignite Cup.
Just he's money hungry. He's got no pride. It's just all about the money. My God. Let's jump into an Cupcake League. Rest in peace to our good man, Corey Homicide Williams. Now, we got a ripper to start this one. I've had some shockers this year. I actually think that I get dealt sometimes the worst ones on purpose. And I have to sort of craft
you
around
want some
them.
violin music?
Yeah, I do need a little violin.
Oh, I'm nervous now.
Our man, Brad Rosen. Incredibly intelligent. He runs a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah, genius.
He's a smart man, so he'd have a grasp on the English language.
For sure.
Let's have a look.
You look at all the angles here, the chokehold, everything. There is going to be severe ramifications out of this, and so there should be. And I don't majorly have a problem because you want to stick up for your player, but there's going to be ramifications.
In the words of Luke Darcy, say that again. Say that again?
And then
ramifications?
Twice.
And then you're sitting there next to Mr. Thesaurus himself, Derek Rucker.
Hey, I think you could actually see the very end. Derek's face right at the end was just like, did he just say ramifications?
Brad is one of the most well-spoken, witty, funny dudes that I know. A serious grasp on the English language. Ramifications.
It happens.
When I saw that first clip, I thought, OK, that's just, he's just stuffed it up. We're being a bit hard on him. And then he doubled down.
No, we've all done.
Well,
ramifications.
Was it last week? I don't even remember. There's been so many overtimes. There were so many games. But we understand there's cameras everywhere in our game. You're always on camera. And again, I was watching I was calling the cans and watch the strength coach Fran from the Sydney Kings. He's loving it. Look, he's like, yeah, this is great, right? So they're up and about. He is riding the highs of his team. And you don't want to get involved with strength trainers because there's a reason why they do what they do. And except he is loving it. But the other side of that is when Lockie Barker's going off, he couldn't believe it. He's like, Lockie Barker, and look at this. The words, you're kidding me. Lockie Barker, of all people? And there was another moment he could not believe what we were seeing from the Lockie Barker show.
Oh, that's bad.
Cameras are always watching. Cameras are always watching.
He had Kendrick for 25 plus. Yeah. That's why he was so excited.
Now, the Hawks, obviously, it's a lot of frustration going down there in the Gong. We're not happy. Hawks people are not happy. Wani Swaka the Bullets not overly impressed. Take that, kid. Accidental. Off the shin.
Hold up. I thought he was getting busted into
The kid sitting courtside, got some great seats, and Wani goes, hey, man, heads up. You got to keep your head in the game.
Come on. Come on, Wani.
Come on, little
Wani.
one.
Give him a high five or give him a jersey or something. Come on, man.
Thank God it wasn't a Brisbane-Adelaide game. Poor kid
Put him in a headlock.
Poor kid put him in a headlock. We're going to chat to the lawyers, and we'll be back after the break. More pain for Melbourne United as they go down to New Zealand, a Sam Menenga-less New Zealand, which is a very different proposition than when he's out there on the floor. Did you know that any game that Sam Menenga scores less than 10 points, New Zealand 0-15?
He's that important.
Yeah. To do with that information what you will.
There was also Baker-less, Baker the second-less as well.
That's true.
Didn't matter, though. When you got Kareem Lopez, it doesn't matter.
Oh, man, we saw something extremely special from the Mexican next star. Yeah, so anyway, Melbourne United, I mean, just when you thought things was back on the mend a little bit, trending in the right direction, they go down to New Zealand, couldn't get it done. Parker Jackson Cartwright was huge for the Breakers, but Jesse Edwards, I feel, he brought him kind of back into it. And that shot right there, was it a foul? It didn't look like it. We looked at the replay. And this was very smart of Isaiah Brockton. Bring it on purpose. Gave Milton Doyle. Let's see how clutch you are, Mint. Milton, nope, not clutch enough in that particular situation. So, yeah, Melbourne United let one go.
Tough judge.
But that was definitely thoroughly earned by the Breakers.
They were exceptional. And again, led by Kareem Lopez, a special night with Tom Abercrombie getting his jersey up in the rafters. Who, by the way, the Tom Abercrombie records for the New Zealand Breakers, what he holds is it's going to be very hard for anyone to ever beat that. But I'm not surprised by the way New Zealand played. When you're down bodies, and again, we talked about it with Tasmania, no one's giving you a chance, led by PJC. But Kareem Lopez, to step up like he did, he was unstoppable. And it was, you talk about a special, we saw something very special from this teenager in the perfect time with all the NBA scouts and GMs sitting courtside.
Prime Minister was courtside as well.
Prime Minister as well, so I don't think he's going to stay in New Zealand for much longer, but that helps, I guess. But just the way that he is so composed, and the numbers aren't going to speak at you as like, oh, most improved player, but he was there last year. When the way that he's playing right now, his draft stock is going through the roof, but it's the poise. It's the poise whilst also understanding you have to do a whole lot more without Menenga and Baker and everybody available. And he's just so fun to watch.
And you can tell, too, the Petrie Compton has done a good job. All of the next stars that's in the league, you need some good, strong leadership around them because they're young, and they're going to make mistakes based off of just not being on earth long enough. We just saw the last game when Kareem Lopez couldn't get the ball in bounds. He felt real bad about that, but nobody was going to throw him under the bus, just put him right back out there. And what he's showing now is a way to score from multiple levels. He's going inside more. He's shooting a little mid-range floaters more. Obviously, his three ball has been great all season. And then defensively, I feel like he doesn't realize quite how big and strong he actually is. When that recognition all comes about, it's going to happen in a few years' time, but, man, we got something extremely special.
And that's what the NBA scouts just want to see, right? The defensive end and that continued growth, which, as you said, is going to come because the rest of his game continues to get better and better. And what it'll be 3-4 months from now, and he'll be shaking Adam Silver's hand.
And also, they get so much better, these players, in that sort of when they go into the pre-draft workouts. There is so much improvement that comes in their game in that short space of time. I don't know what it is. It's whether they just stop playing games for a while and they just work out day to day, but there is a huge jump. So I'm excited to see some little fine-tuning.
And the beauty about the Next Stars program with that is not everybody is situated for the workouts to go one-on-one and impress in that style. He's got this catalogue right now of games playing against grown men in one of the most respected leagues in the world that if he goes in there and individually doesn't shock anyone, they've seen it all. They know what he's doing in a 5-on-5. I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll be okay, but not everybody stands up like they should with the nerves of a pre-draft workout.
Pete, you've got an eye for good.
Always.
New Zealand, 18 for 18 in the first half from two-point range with no Sam Menenga. That was remarkable.
Well, it was key because I thought without Sam Menenga, I was like, Rob Lowe's going to be there. They'll probably pick and pop. Rob Lowe will hit 3 threes, he'll have 15 points in the game, and they didn't give it to him. And instead, they just said, you know what? We're going to put our head down. We're going to try and get inside the three-point line. We're going to go up against Jesse Edwards. When he's off the floor, we'll attack Fabian Krislovic and Finn Delaney. And it was a masterclass in really going at what Melbourne United have done really well, and that is protect the rim. And I thought that Coach Cobb's game style was awesome.
And they was getting off to a really good start, too, Pete, in that game. Melbourne United was taking the ball out of Parker Jackson Cartwright's hands. Tyson Walker was doing a good job denying him the ball. And Parker said at halftime, I just got to do a better job of getting the ball. And once the ball was in his hands in the second half, he just makes way too many plays.
And again, Shea Illy was back for Melbourne United. So you can also understand that Coach Cobb thinking, what are we going to do here? Okay, they're going to have Shea getting up and in. They're going to have Tyson Walker, Dash Daniels. Instead of us just taking a step backwards, let's attack this. Let's really try and turn the corner, blow by someone, see what their help rotations are like and put them on the back foot. They did that and they came away with a big win.
Let's see what Dean Vickerman had to say about 18 of 18 inside the paint for New Zealand.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Obviously, that's the area statistically to say, you know, that shouldn't happen and doesn't happen very often. And so, I give him credit for, for shooting it that well. Obviously, the transition ones and the when we got the coverage wrong, that just allowed them, straight to the rim without it being contested. I think there's, 6 or 7 of those. I think we've got to be much better at. There's. We have an extra 13 possessions, and for whatever reason, I just felt like the contact. We just weren't getting to the foul line the same way that they were getting to the foul line, and so I lost my brain too much, and I've got to be better to move on and make sure I'm coaching my team through those moments as well.
Let's talk about as good as Jesse Edwards is, as awesome as he was. When he's off the floor, what's your trust level like in Finn Delaney and Fabian Krislovic in the forward spots going up against Kareem Lopez, a KG Rob Lowe,
Or smaller,
Max Darling. Just, you know what I mean? So those two guys, all of a sudden, interior scoring kind of is a little bit of a concern for me. I feel like Jesse Edwards' minutes needs to go up. The more he's on the floor, there's nobody out there for him. But when they go small-ish, I feel like they struggle from time to time.
Fabian Krizlovic's in the trust circle because his ability to be able to meet a ball screen at the level, slide his feet, switch if you have to, that's what you need. But as good as he is, and he gets a lot of blocks, the difference in just having the length and athleticism of Jesse Edwards down there can deter guys who are going in there and playing amongst the trees. It is probably, you look around the rest of the league, Sydney's a bit of an anomaly because they like to play small ball a whole lot, but the difference in having Jesse Edwards as their centre and their anchor and what they do defensively there compared to Fabian Krizlovic is two very different defensive schemes that everyone else on the floor has to adjust with on the fly. So I'm with you on that. I think you could actually have minutes. You talk about keeping Finn Delaney. If Finn Delaney goes out, I think you can play Fabian Krizlovic at the 4 against some of these other teams and then go really big with him and Jesse Edwards. We'll see what they do in the next few weeks.
Melbourne's run home. They've started to play better basketball. It's certainly not in the crisis zone that it was before. That was a bad loss for them. How do you see these ones playing out?
But I tell you what, against the Adelaide 36ers, that's going to be huge for many reasons.
Even the Taipans. Like Jack McVeigh can go off for 40 and totally change a game.
And Andrew Andrews has been really good as well, Cody Statman. So they've got a tough run home, but everyone's game's a tough run, albeit except Brisbane because they've got barely anybody available. Outside of that, you've got a team who's going to be hungry for one reason or another, and that's dangerous.
I would put they could win 3 out of those. I could see a couple L's, maybe, but even if they ran the table, I'm thinking about the playoffs. All I'm thinking about is the semifinal. Like this regular season, I'm almost over the regular season right now. I'm wore out. I just want to see the playoffs get here so I can see a real chess match in a best-of-3 series.
And what I love about that is once we get through the play-in tournament, there's certain matchups, as I said, that teams just would rather avoid altogether, but also can we avoid them until a championship series? We might be able to get them over 5 games. We might not be able to get them over 3. So that is going to be a fascinating watch when we talk about Perth as well.
Bit of tension between you two because you're championship favourites, the Perth Wildcats.
Oh, we are talking Perth now.
Did your boys dirty?
Look, here's the thing. And I'm not even going to get all worked up about this one. But Illawarra Hawks all season. We're talking about JaVale McGee and Sam Frawley. They tried to play together, couldn't do it. So now Justin Tatum platoons them. And, it don't matter. I'm saying that the rest of the cast of the Illawarra Hawks struggle almightily to get those big dudes the ball. And I got some vision. I had to watch it a couple of times to make sure I was seeing what I thought I was seeing. And it's just some poor entry passes and roll the tape. Roll the tape. They played Sydney, and it got up. Now this is the most heated,
you got to hook this tape there.
All time. Look at this. Bawadi Bales throws a pass to JaVale's shins. JaVale's like, just put it up in the air, man. Like, put it up.
Who's got it?
QJ Peterson, does he want to get it to JaVale? Does Davo want to give it to JaVale? Nope. I'll tip it in myself. So now, back pick, it was open, don't throw it. QJ Peterson, give me a good, out of bounds. This is what he's had to deal with for the entire season. Tyler Harvey comes off, penetrates. JaVale's like, can I get this one? Nope. All right, then. So this is what I'm saying. And this dude is still, there's more. Unfortunately, there's more. Look at this. Can't get it. Can't get it. So JaVale McGee is averaging a double-double, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocked shots in just over half a game. Let me take you back to last year. Matt Hurt, first-team All-NBL, he averaged 20 and 7. JaVale's getting that in like next to 22, 23 minutes a game. But his teammates have not, and they've had all season to give the ball to the most dominant man we've ever seen in the league. Are we going to see another 3-time NBA champion, Olympic gold? Are we ever going to see this again? He's probably not going to come back. And his teammates, I feel like, are 75% to blame.
Well, it's good that you prefaced that by saying you weren't going to get worked up. So I'm glad at no point there did your heart rate go up. Or
that would have been bad. Yeah, I can understand there's a lot of bad decisions. And also we hear Justin Tatum saying that, well, they just didn't come to play too often in this crucial period. But now they are fighting for their lives, right? This is a massive game that they can actually, there's a wounded Adelaide 36ers team that they can go and try and beat right now and to continue to stay in the hunt. They are the healthiest of those remaining teams fighting out for 6th. If they can just continue to find something that works. I mean, Sam Frawley had 12 and 7 in like 12 minutes the other night. They're trying to figure out rotation still this late in the season. It's going to be tough, but, geez, there's talent there.
Between Sam and JaVale, Sam's numbers is just like it was last year. He was second-team All-NBL. Exactly, maybe 1 point less. Same 7 rebounds. Adelaide 36ers they love small ball so much that this plays right into the hands of the Illawarra Hawks if their teammates all decide that is where our advantage is. If they think, no, we can outshoot them. If they think that, they're going to lose.
Let's get back on track to Perth v Illawarra. We jumped into a bit of Sydney
like
stuff
that?
as well. No, the track was getting me nervous over here. Let's see how Justin Tatum broke it down after their loss.
We stopped believing in our scout. Our guys just went away from it, and we just talked about it in the locker room. But we got to stick with what's been working for us and not get into, I can recover or I can, cheat on this play here and there. So they're too good. These players in this league is too good. So you got to stick with your scout and live with statistics.
You can draw up the greatest plan, greatest scout in the world, but if the players can execute it, whose fault is that? So I'm saying sometimes these players, they are who they are. No player can reinvent themselves with 4 games left in the regular season. They are who they are. Now, some guys get up a little bit more. I saw QJ Peterson picking up the ball full court. Like, no, I haven't seen that. Like, where's that been? But over time, he defaults right back to that is not who he is. So everything that Justin Tatum had last year, he's got maybe 50% of that in those defensive effort areas. This particular group is more focused on scoring, I believe. And defensively, when it gets down to the nuts and bolts, the nitty-gritty, they can't get those little things to match, and now all these losses.
I think a lot of people forget that too, right? You just can't paint stripes on a horse and call it a zebra. Because people are who they are.
There's a movie about that, isn't it? So you can. Racing stripes.
Yeah, but he is a zebra.
Focus.
No, it's a horse.
Stay focused.
No, I think
keep going.
Because they are who they are.
Yeah.
And again, that goes with everybody involved with sports, but sometimes you are the type of player that you are. Yes, you can show little bits of it, but in the end, you are who you are.
Oh, love that. Profound. Ben Henschel, speaking of you are what you are, Ben Henschel has been being something different over the last 4 games. He's been special. Now, we all knew he had it, and I think there was a lot of Perth fans who were probably hopeful that this was the Ben Henschel they'd see all year. But it's good to see him finally getting to being how good we know he can be.
And the best part about this is I won't say the sole reason, but one of the reasons he's been playing like this, super composed, he looks like a true point guard, he's finding everybody, he's not taking bad shots, he's playing great defense as well, is they didn't go and bring in an import to play all the minutes over him. Because if they did that, and again, they were looking, I know they'll say that, but they were looking. If you bring someone else in, Ben Henschel or Pepper would have been coming off the bench. Their roles would have changed. And if you flick that guy to bring back David Duke Jr., where's the confidence for these two? If they want to go and make a serious run at a championship, it's going to be on the back of those two consistently stepping up because Christian Doolittle is going to be Christian Doolittle. Dylan Windler's been fantastic. I think he's a key to their success as well. So good to see him balling. And JLA is going to be who JLA is as one of the best big men in the league. So they have all the pieces. It's Ben Henschel and Elijah Pepper, and both right now are balling. And this is going to be fun to see them down the stretch of this season.
What a beautiful backcourt. Ben Henschel, them two right there, 2 scorers. Now, Ben Henschel will never be a point guard because it's in his DNA to score. Yep. But what he's doing, though, is he's not trying to score all the time. He's like, okay, I could probably take this guy, but let me move the ball. Let me penetrate and just keep my head open, keep my eyes open for who else can be, have a better shot. That's what he's doing. And is it a point guard? In this current era, you're not going to be a traditional point guard.
I think he can grow into that, though, but I don't think it's the best move for
like
his
a guy
career.
Who's never played the point before in his life. You can't say that. You can't say that. But he cannot try to score all the time and play defense. And between him and Elijah Pepper, man, that is the backcourt for the next 10 years. Now, that can change how Danny Mills and Mark Arena and John really look at getting an import guard. Do you really want to get another import guard? And then what does that do to those two guys? This has been their breakout year, especially Elijah Pepper, because John really was kind of joking sarcastically early in the season that Pepper was an NBL 1 Hall of Famer. I think he feels like, hey, maybe this dude can be a consistent 15-point-a-night scorer.
Confidence is a wonderful thing, and they both have sky-high confidence right now, and I think a lot of that stems from we have 3 solidified stars as the anchor of our starting 5, so we've just got to play this way. They'll do their stuff, and we can go and really give this thing a shake. I'm liking the trajectory of the Perth Wildcats right now. It's great to see.
I'm just happy you haven't switched, you haven't jumped off and switched.
Yeah. No, I've been sticking true.
Also, you know how big I am on retention for teams. The Perth Wildcats have done it better than any club across the NBL in the modern era. We're not talking about the Gaze, Bradkey days where they just locked in and started the same team. But Pepper and Henschel are 2 guys where you just love to see them just go through as Wildcats. I think there's a bit of NBA in there potentially for Henschel, but you'd love to see them lock them down.
You lock them 2 guys down, and then even Dante Russell-Nance has got a couple little minutes in. He came in, hit a couple big shots, hit a big 3, I remember one stage. Between those guys, then you got a veteran like Sunday Dutch around them who's who's not a point guard.
He's very important to them.
Extremely important. He can play the D, and he can also handle the ball. So the future is bright for the local content.
Future's bright. I'm going to look up that movie Racing Stripes to see whether there was a horse painted as a zebra or a zebra painted as a horse. We'll go to a break. Bang it.
DJ from downtown, you bet. And a little bit of afters as well. Rakocevic is into it. This is absolutely on. It's on here. It's a clear the benches type roll.
Let's get it on.
I was really scared for my player. Terry Taylor had Nick in a headlock on his back, and Maldonado was punching him in the stomach. I screamed at Terry. It was almost like a parent. It's like, what are you doing? To me, that's not basketball, and that crossed the line.
It's non-professional. I mean, it just shows you with the Brisbane Bullets, they want to throw little cheap shots at us just because they're going to finish last. You know, I don't know whether if he's seen Rakocevic land on Hunter. Like, he literally pushed him and then, like, power drive him. Nobody's seen that.
All the other comments that they're making, cheap shots and all that stuff, I don't really buy it.
Nasty stuff. But just like Leonard Copeland was saying in commentary, the professionally always is, let's get it on. Which I thought was unbelievable as that went around the news sites. You just had Leonard in the back almost hyping it up like a UFC fight. Now, it's not what you want to see, but it's a part of the game. It happens at times. I feel like I get a bit of deja vu to the Montrez Harrell situation where he went into the crowd and that sort of stuff happened. It's like Adelaide don't know that these things are recorded on video when they tell us what they believe happened. Now, I respect it because you're just looking out for your team. They're always going to go into bat for their own team above all else. But some of the accusations of what they say was happening versus actually was, I thought was a little disappointing.
Yeah, I think there hasn't been any real apology to Hunter Maldonado from Mike Wells, who clearly didn't throw any punches.
No.
But look, they got other problems they need to worry about the 36ers other than that. Like, the fines have been handed out. Everybody got a little bit lighter in the pocket. A few people probably should have got suspended but didn't. But, like, it's over with. Nobody really got hurt as we look at the Tribunal sanctions come down. Nick Rakocevic, because he already had a charge. He already had a case pending prior, so that's why he got his 1 game suspension. And Terry Taylor, luckiest man in Australia to only get the 1 match for the chokehold.
And I understand that we have the rules, they have the table that you have to go and grade everything by the Tribunal and all of that in the game review panel, but gee, some of those are really light. And I also know the fine system, it all fits part of a table that we've had for a long time. And I think we said it after the Adelaide-Melbourne situation that spoiled into the crowd, that it might be time that we can kind of update that. Because some of those, I mean, the Terry Taylor one, if you want to go and sit there and say you're making the case that he's trying to pull the opposition player off your teammate, but in the end, you've got a guy in a headlock.
The headlock was insane. And it was like, we're talking like technique. He was...
So you got 2 games down to 1 game. I was shocked. I was really shocked. And again, how you grade that medium, high impact. The other side would be, what happens if Nick Rakocevic ended up passing out from that? Then what happened? So I thought that was a bit too light because you just cannot put a guy in a headlock. The Rakocevic one, people want to say that he slipped and all that. We've seen Nick Rakocevic, he can get in the heat of battle as well. And again, some of the fines, again, we know the one clear-cut thing is if you leave the bench, you're going to be in strife. But even that fine's
$500 to run onto the court?
$500 to run.
The streak it costs more to streak.
It is very light because you just think you've got to make sure this thing doesn't happen again. So how do you make sure it doesn't happen again? Because if you see your teammate on the ground and you're a guy who's out for the season, well, I'm going to have my teammates back if it's only going to cost me $500. But yeah, I was disappointed with those press conferences. I think there's something that needs to be said.
We see it. You certainly don't want to see it again. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't entertaining at all, was it? We weren't up out of our seats while it was all happening in the commentary. No, we don't want to see it. You don't want to see it at home either. Legally, of course. Let's just jump on. The Sydney Kings got it done over the Cairns Taipans. What a comeback that was. Around a 38-point swing.
Yeah, Cairns Taipans came out of the gates, full guns blazing, shooting threes. Everybody was hot. Everybody was hitting threes. They completely wrecked the Lockie Barker game by blowing that lead. But they had a 24-point lead. And I like what Brian Gordon said in his press conference. He's not taking anything away from Cairns. They were the better team for those 20 minutes.
Let's see what else he said in his press conference as well, because he did make an interesting statement.
I've been here forever and been in Australia, and I think Bryce Cotton is really, really special, and he and Andrew Gaze hold a place in their own as far as what they've accomplished here, and maybe the greatest two players, I think it's line ball, to ever play here. But right now, this year, and I wouldn't trade Kendrick for anybody.
The beard's looking fantastic on Gorge. He's talking about going grey gracefully. That is Brian Goorjian. Would you take Kendrick Davis over Bryce Cotton?
Well, I was more trying to say, look, as much as I think he's the greatest of all time, I probably wouldn't right now trade Kendrick Davis for Andrew Gaze. I feel like I saw Gazy walk into the game. I understand why you'd probably want to keep Kendrick right now, although Gazy can get around a golf course in under par, so I can understand why he said that. I know why he's saying that, because we've seen Kendrick Davis step up time and time again. And what I'm most impressed with Kendrick Davis, I know they shut him down from most media going forward. He has been so locked in, and the moments where he can just pick when it's time to shoot, when it's time to pass. The first 3 minutes of that game, calling against Cairns, he had multiple times he got to his spot, which was normally a money little mid-range, and he hit one, and then he said, OK, let me try and get a lob to Tim Sires. Let me try and get someone else involved. And they missed. And then the scoreboard wasn't ticking over, so he goes, OK, now it's my turn. He has matured as a player in such a short amount of time, and it's a credit to him and it's a credit to the Sydney Kings, wrapping their arms around him, everybody helping him get to this point. And there's a reason why this MVP race is going to heat up down the stretch.
Cannot wait for MVP night to see who's going to take that one out. We're going to wrap a few other things up after this.
Down by one. It's been Johnson's afternoon, and it's David Johnson's moment.
Come on, Kareem!
Kareem Lopez, a coming out party.
I got it up back!
Here's McVeigh again. I would foul.
Oh, are you kidding me? Jack McVeigh! He is the man in the arena.
Our superstars left, right and centre, but have a look at this. Bryce Cotton, 91, Nathan Sobey, 91, and then a chasm before anyone. Who's going to take this out? You can keep your MVP. Mitsubishi Motors leading threes.
Is there a prize? Do they win something?
I don't think so.
They win a car.
They don't get anything?
I don't know if Bryce got a car from a few years ago. We've got to make sure we're going to chase that one up. But I don't think so. But, geez, Nathan Sobey, what a season that he's having. And also, Kendrick Davis climbing into that top five, and DJ Vasiljevic coming off the bench, and his opportunities has been few and far between. He's right there as well. You're going to make us pick?
I got Sobey. And the reason why I got Sobey is because Bryce is going to get double-teamed for the rest of his life. It's going to be hard for him to get as many threes off as what Sobey can.
I'm going to go with Bryce because, again, we keep talking about Adelaide struggling and the MVP race heating up, and I think Bryce will do Bryce things.
Hey, the Ignite Cup final is not far away. Let's have a look how the regular season finished up. I think so far the final will be a test of this as well, but I'm going to give this a tick as being a successful initiative so far.
Again, and the first season of it, so how do we grow it going forward next year? I want to see it continue. I think it's a great way for, again, New Zealand, if they're out of it, they're going to at least be playing for something. How do we continue to grow it, make it even better for the fan experience, for the players? But I love this first year. It's been a whole lot of fun. We get carried away on broadcast. We do something different, but you just know that Wednesday nights might be a little different, and we're going to do some of that up on the Gold Coast for the final as well.
Oh, yeah.
First thing I do is I get rid of the runner-up. You don't get anything. It's winner takes all.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you do.
And also, I think that as we look to try and grow, we'll probably talk about it during the FIBA break on overtime, but you could also, I think you can shorten when it ends rather than at the end of the regular season, like the NBA do. Let's get it done and dusted. But it's been fantastic.
And pay the commentators a little bit extra when they've got to do the pre-game and stay for the whole game. I think
and the doubles.
We all agree on that. Put the doubles there as well.
Hey, people fall asleep in the doubles.
Beat the coach. How are you doing?
How am I doing?
Have you pillaged another small village?
Oh, my goodness. Look, if I don't start getting a challenge pretty soon, people, I could consider retiring. I could. I mean, I'm just saying, if I don't feel any more challenge, Pete, in the game, when you beat regularly over 14,000 people not sometimes, all the time. Okay, 1727
over
got
1,700 people beat
but
you.
over 15,500 people played? I mean, look.
Look, as someone...
I know what you're like. You are the best, or it doesn't matter.
Now, look what I did here. I went heavy Cairns Taipans, Jack McVeigh. I got Kyle Adlam in there for salary cap purposes. I got PJC, Rob Lowe, and I got Ruby Rube. And my man JaVale McGee. They're going to look after him. He's playing against Adelaide, so it's too small for him. He could be a monster.
So you've got JaVale McGee, and you've just plead
Rinse them.
emotionally, rinse them that they're not getting in the ball. So
And
you're
now they're
trying to
going
work
to.
something in action for your own personal gain.
I like
Tactics.
it. I like it. And again, if you talk about retiring, I've got my Super Coach jersey retired. Welcome.
Hey, we're going to come to a break. Racing Stripes. It was a zebra, not a horse. We'll wrap it up after this. We're at the back end of the season, but a Thursday double header. We haven't had too many Thursday double headers across the year, have we?
I've had a couple, but there's no Wednesday games also, so we've got to squeeze them all around somehow.
We've got to move it around. Where are we going?
I mean, New Zealand and the Phoenix, and this will be a fun one for numerous reasons, but I tell you what, PJC has been fantastic, but the Phoenix, they are 2 percentage points behind the Sydney Kings.
How many points is that?
I don't know, you got to figure it out. But they can run up the score here at some point if they wanted to, but also both the Phoenix and the Kings, they are vastly superior percentage-wise in the Adelaide 36ers, so we can get very juicy down the end of the season.
Yeah.
Don't mind that.
Who wins?
Who's playing again?
Phoenix, New Zealand?
Phoenix.
Yep.
But Illawarra, Adelaide.
Oh, that's the one.
the game.
Okay. Yep.
That's the game. Now,
You've each got your little moment in the sun here.
Adelaide, this is huge. Adelaide trying to hold on the top spot, because if they lose to the Hawks and Sydney plays South Melbourne Phoenix, they could topple from first. They could end up third, because they got Melbourne United after that. And the Hawks, literally coming off 2 losses in a row, they need to win this game at home or their season is toast.
Oh, this is so much riding on that game. Massive double. Every game's got implications now.
See, this is what I love. Like you're saying there, every game has implications.
And ramifications.
Percentage, ramifications. Give you Brad Rosen as well. Give me quickly, in 10 seconds or less, power rank your top 3.
Sydney, Phoenix, and then Adelaide.
I'm going to leave the just out and just go Sydney, Phoenix, Adelaide.
No, as in I've got Sydney and Phoenix very close together, and then I've got Adelaide.
But I still, yeah.
And finally, the most important of the whole show, I'm dealing with terrible acid reflux at the moment. How do you get rid of it? I've never had it before.
Thank you, everybody.
How do you get rid of it?
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, well, I guess it's just going to be me. Hey, we're getting into the back end of the season. And you know what it means? Plenty of ramifications.